Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon, FBA, private label, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring you another special guest. His name is Ephraim Ausch, and he's the Chief Logistics Officer at the Tactical Logistics Solution, which is an end-to-end global logistics provider for e-commerce, retail, and Amazon sellers. So for me today, it's a pleasure to have Ephraim. He's a long time friend now. We've been in different trips, events together. And today we're going to be touching a very interesting topic, which is basically how to get ready for Prime Day, which we all know everybody gets very scared about how I get ready in terms of inventory strategies and all of that. And also around the new basically changes around the inventory storage limitations that Amazon have brought into effect as of now. So, Ephraim, I think it's a pleasure to have you here on the podcast. So, thank you for coming. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, man. I think last time we saw each other was in Mexico, right?
Mexico,
Is that
right?
correct? Yeah, man. We
Exactly.
had a good time
It was
there.
a
Nice
good time.
margaritas, nice weather.
It was
So it was
beautiful. It's
very
really
nice.
nice.
Yeah, looking forward to go back, man. But yeah, man, thank you for coming. I know you're an amazing entrepreneur, and I think I want to start with that, man, because I think you have a very interesting background. And I think when it comes to this podcast, of course, it's all about Amazon, e-commerce, and all that. But at the same time, I think learning from the stories of minds like you is always very valuable, and I think I would like to start with that. I mean, tell me about how you jump into e-commerce, and then I mean, what made you do the company that you have right now? Yeah.
Sure. So, my story is not as interesting as yours, but it's a little bit
I'm sure it
interesting.
is. I'm sure it is.
So, thanks for having me. So, basically, my background is I think I was in 2011. I started where I was basically looking for work. I was like, I was fed
Okay.
up. Whatever I was doing, I was right after I got married.
Hmm.
And at that time, as a religious Jew, I was like doing Talmudic studies. I was studying, and like I was thinking, like, I gotta change things up. I want to start working. I want to learn the business world, and things like that. So I decided to just. We have like a magazine that comes out every weekend. I was
Hmm.
just looking in the classifieds, and I was like, any job that's available, I'm just gonna take. That's my. I don't care about the money. I just care about starting to learning the business world. So I found a ad for a candy and chocolate company, and they do gift baskets as well for the Jewish holidays. Where it was before our Purim holiday, it's similar to Halloween. So instead of trick and treating, we give gifts. So basically, food gifts to friends, family, neighbors.
Hmm.
That's the model of the holiday. So they were
I see.
looking for like temporary salespeople because they were having a lot of phone calls and emails,
Mm.
people that want to place orders with their website and their stores. So they were looking for temporary people. I applied. I told them like, hey, I'm looking for a job. My resume is empty, but this is my background. I did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Not much work. I was helping here and there, but I had no experience. They were desperate to hire people, so it's like, hey, join the company. So for 3 months, I was doing that, and then that season ended. And then CEO says like, "What are you planning to do?" I said like, "You tell me." Like, I'm want to work. I don't want to stay.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to leave. So he said like, we tried doing Amazon, 2010, and it was not really working for us. So we
Hmm.
closed the account. Maybe try Amazon again. So I had a lot of friends that started Amazon. My age, 2010, 2011. That was a time when a lot of people were getting into Amazon, especially in the community where I live. Was a very
Yeah.
easy place to go on to list your products. Um, it was very different than today. Very little restrictions, very little rules.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I sat down with one of my friends for a couple hours. He gave me the basic training. I um, learned the basics, listed like
Yeah.
I think 2,000 listings
Wow.
in the
Crazy.
first 4 months, and nothing was moving. And I was like, how do we do that? And then I started
Yeah.
looking more into it. And I started learning, hey, you got to use keywords and proper
Hmm.
things. So there was merchant words back then. I don't know if they're not around
Yeah,
anymore.
back in the good
Back
times. Yeah.
back in the good times, merchant words.
Yeah.
There's a couple other softwares that I used, and then sales really started. I think from when I started listing till we reached the first $1 million in revenue was 9 months. So the first
Wow.
3 4 months was nothing, and then the rest of that was like really it started really picking up.
Crazy.
At that time, I think PPC came out a year later.
Yeah.
So I remember spending like $18. My boss
I
was telling me
know.
like, "Hey, I don't want to spend any
That's
PPC."
too
I said like,
aggressive.
"Yeah, don't,
Yeah.
that's too aggressive." So I said like, "Let me try a little bit." We spent $18, and they gave us $5,000 of revenue,
Oh, I miss
additional.
those days, man.
So
Yeah.
those days were really
20
good
cents,
days.
15 cents, please
Exactly.
express.
So
Yeah.
I said I told earlier someone like today spending $18 maybe gets you $18 in sales.
Yeah. That's right. And
Maybe.
you're doing a good job.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was basically that. And then afterwards I realized that there's a huge market for gift baskets for the non-Jewish holidays. And
Okay.
I decided that they didn't want to really go into it yet. They weren't sure. They wanted to focus more on what they're having now. So I decided I'm going to do it on my own, as I learned on the Amazon business. So I went on my own from 2014
Yeah.
till 2017. I was selling on Amazon gift baskets mainly.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of it because it was very seasonal. And in
Yes.
2016, Amazon IPI came out then, the Inventory Performance Index. I think or 2016, I think sometime in 2016. And they really started like in summer I had no sales because I was selling gift baskets that were perishable items. So you couldn't have nuts, chocolate, and FBA. It's summertime, it gets melted. So it really started affecting me, and I decided, you know what, it's too seasonal,
Mm-hmm.
too much gambling because seasonal. The minute Christmas ended,
Yeah.
all the baskets that were left over were garbage. I
Inventory
mean,
is
nobody
is crazy. It's madness. I
exactly
know.
nobody buys it. So I
Yeah.
got out of it. I sold it to a friend of mine that had a good all year round business, and he just had an add on as a service provider. And then I joined Tactical. Um, and basically, in my journey by being an Amazon seller, I've used freight forwarders, I've used custom brokers, I've used like a co-packer or 3PL, and
Yeah.
I've used trucking to Amazon, multiple different companies.
Yeah.
And what I hated always was like I always wanted to know my end cost. What is my cost? It was really
Mm-hmm.
hard to determine that what my cost is because 3PLs a lot of times intend to have a lot of different charges, and it's really hard
That's
to
true.
calculate what does
Yeah.
it cost me per unit. Um, and also working with different logistics company for different things creates delays. It gets more expensive. So we came up with this the last few years is where we are an end-to-end service. We provide freight forwarding, that's the importing side. We provide custom clearance, pickup from the port, 3PL services, and then drip feeding into Amazon. So that's like
The whole yard.
one, yeah, the one-stop shop for Amazon seller to get everything into Amazon. You deal with one
Perfect.
company, everything like that. And thank God we did. We're doing really well with that,
Yeah.
and just trying to help sellers mainly with that. So
Wow.
me
What a
with having
journey.
my yeah me with having my background in Amazon probably helped us out a lot. For me, when I speak to
Yeah.
Amazon sellers, I understand what they want. It's not like
Yeah.
I just know logistics. I learned logistics after I learned that my Amazon journey.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy doing. That's my passion, and I really love it.
Yeah, I think that last part that you just mentioned is so key. I mean, to every service provider I talk to, that they're successful in the space, they come from a background similar than you. That they went through the pain of understanding everything first themselves, understanding how everything works from A to Z, then finding the pain points and making a business around that. Which I think that's the key here because you understand what sellers are struggling on a daily
Right.
basis, and then you basically design solutions which provide the support that most sellers are struggling, at least in the logistics side of things as you're doing. So I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, thank you for sharing that. I think for sure your journey is amazing. I think what I would like to start touching right now is what I mentioned at the beginning, which is going to be some of the points for today's episode. So, we mentioned initially Prime Day. So when we talk about Prime Day, we know that everybody start getting a little bit crazy and they start getting, I don't know what to do with my PPC. I don't know what to do with my logistic. How much inventory should I send in? What should I
Right.
do with everything that encloses basically my strategy? And I think, of course, you have a lot of experience because I'm pretty sure that during Prime Day, you get very busy and you have seen everything around the logistics of things. And I would like to hear your take and some of your tips, yeah, around that.
Right. So the most important thing that I've realized, especially in before Prime Day and in Q4 the same way, is Amazon's fulfillment centers tend to get really congested
Mm,
before
yeah.
those times. So when you create a FBA shipment in Seller Central or in your inventory software, whatever you use, and you're used to using Amazon partner carriers
Hmm.
or Amazon SPD, that's small parcel delivery UPS, what happens is Amazon picks up the goods from your warehouse or UPS picks it up and then deliver it into whatever Amazon location needs to go to.
Hmm.
But the thing is that they just come in, they dropped UPS is a little bit quicker, but we're going to talk mainly on LTL or full truckload side. Is Amazon drops the trailer there in the yard, and then Amazon will get to that trailer whenever they decide to get to it. There's
Hmm.
obviously a line how they plan it out, but especially when it gets congested, I've seen in COVID it was 4, 5, 6 weeks sometimes. But let's say normal Q4, a normal Prime Day season, it's probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks sometimes where it takes to get
Yeah,
Amazon to get
I
received.
know. Very inefficient.
And
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
by not being sure how much to send into Amazon and waiting a little bit till the last minute and seeing how you project how much, because you don't want to overstock Amazon, because then you have to make removal orders, you're paying too much storage, you're killing your profit, all these
Yeah.
multiple reasons why. There is using a third party carrier that could be, we provide that service. There's hundreds of companies providing that service. What we have different is we make the appointments in Amazon. Like we have an appointment portal. It's called Carrier Central. When we
Hmm.
make the appointments, all our appointments are live unloads. That means
Mm.
when we have an appointment for tomorrow at 10 a.m., that means the driver shows up at 10 a.m. He will get live unloaded. It's never 10 a.m., especially when it's congested. The driver can wait there 6, 7 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
But as long as he gets checked in, they
Yeah.
offload him. The product gets checked into Amazon right away, and it's available for purchase on Amazon. So
I see.
that's basically the big benefit of, especially when it comes to these times of the year, is make sure that you're using a third party if you're the last minute, and even if you're not last minute, please give yourself 3, 4 weeks to use Amazon partner carriers. But if you want to
Hmm.
use a 2 week period or a week period, make sure that you speak to someone or you contact someone that does in your area a direct service into Amazon that's a live unload. So a lot of sellers are not knowledgeable with that because they realize, hey, Amazon partner carriers is half the price. True, it
Yeah.
is. Nobody wants to compete with Amazon's trucking rates because they have a huge infrastructure of truckers. But their issue with just dropping a trailer there and it could be sitting there. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had stories over stories, and
I
I could
know.
go on for hours with stories that
I
I've heard from
always,
sellers. And
yeah,
you know stories as well with nightmares that people have by
yeah.
really they ordered extra 5,000 or 10,000 units
Hmm.
just for Prime Day, and they wanted to save $500, and they
And they
waited
go
for
check
partner
after
carriers,
Prime Day.
and it checks in after Prime Day exactly. So
Yeah,
that's
so I always
basically
say that. I say be careful with those pricing structures because it's true, you might save money, but sometimes the money that you save, you're gonna actually spend more because of the loss of sales you had due to the delays on their system. So it's not
exactly.
all about saving on the fees, actually on efficiency and the end result, which is what we want to
Exactly.
achieve. Yeah,
What I also
100%.
tell sellers a lot of times is, let's say there's a $300 or $500 difference.
Hmm.
If this full truckload is the $500 makes it or breaks it for you in profit, that means you're in the wrong business.
Yeah, as
Because
well. I was gonna say
on
that.
28 pallets, you're
Yeah,
only making $500. You're in the wrong business. So
yeah, yeah.
that's what I always say. Like, because you got to really think through is if you're planning really well beforehand to be successful, keep that in mind. That
Hmm.
using an Amazon partner carrier, give yourself the at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
Hmm.
or use someone that goes direct. It's live unload and they know they can offload. UPS is a little bit quicker, but I've also seen 8 days.
Yes.
Even though it's delivered, it takes 7, 8 days or 9 days on this to check in.
Hmm.
Overall, it's better than an LTL, Amazon partner carriers, but it's still you're taking your risk by doing that um, versus using a third party carrier. And
Yeah.
if you're shipping a lot by UPS, it's very expensive. So
Yes, of
um,
course. Hmm.
even a third party would be cheaper than using UPS. So that would be my advice for Prime Day. If you're still having production in China, I would suggest bringing it into probably LA port or somewhere where it gets
Mm-hmm.
quicker into Amazon. Because
Yeah.
right now it takes around 2-3 weeks. So you want to make sure that you have your stock in the US enough time to plan for
Yeah.
Prime Day.
So you would say
Um,
at least 1 month before Prime Day is an ideal window, we'll say, to be safe, right?
right, because you always want to know that you have your product in the US if you
Mm-hmm.
plan to sell in the US. Because if your product is still coming in, just the anxiety of not being sure and any errors could happen. Yeah, usually right now things are not congested anymore. Bringing
Yeah.
it from China, things are pretty calm. But just in case something happens and you lose a week or two, then you're on a much tighter schedule. So I would say is like if you're still ordering product from China, make sure you have it by beginning the first week of June. You have it
Mm-hmm.
ready in your 3PL or in your own warehouse, so you can plan getting it into Amazon beforehand.
Good. Now, there is this strategy, which I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with, that of course we need to always rely first on the FBA, which is sending inventory to Amazon. But I've seen a lot of sellers lately because of the uncertainty with Amazon of receiving inventory. Sometimes they apply through using 3PLs like you, they offer of putting an FBM offer. Therefore, if the inventory doesn't check in on time, or let's say they go out of stock, you guys can still fulfill, in this case, some of the orders. Have you seen that? Have you seen it being efficient? What do you think about that
It
option? Yeah.
definitely, if again, we do it for sellers as well. Like if there's emergencies, obviously we'll because we don't do officially B2C. Like we don't.
Okay.
We're usually a carton based company, but we do help sellers because obviously our goal is that you don't run out of stock no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? I'm
Hmm.
not here to hold your product and you can't get it.
Yeah,
But
of
let's say
course.
you send in a shipment into Amazon, still not checked in. You have good sales. You're running out of
Mm,
stock. You wanted to change it to merchant fulfilled. Yes, you could do that. The fact is that your product doesn't do as well.
yeah,
You say your
of course.
ranking tanks a little bit. You have to spend a little more on PPC. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So it's really risky because if you're going to be 2 weeks out of stock, it could really affect. I mean, being completely out of stock,
Hmm.
that's sometimes a death sentence. I would call it on a
Yeah,
listing.
yeah, yeah, of
You're
course.
giving your competition the opportunity to really shine,
Yeah,
or it's never going to pick up the same rank that it used to have. Sometimes it
yeah,
will. You just have to spend a lot on PPC.
yeah.
So um, it works because being out of stock completely is not
It's worse.
ideal.
Yeah, of
It's way
course.
worse. But
Yeah,
again, it's just try to avoid that just because it will affect your listing somewhat
yeah,
way.
very important. Now, when it comes to also Prime Day, I guess you also get a lot this question from your clients. It's like they ask you, Ephraim, I need advice about how much stock should I send in, and all of that. So I guess, what advice can you give to sellers? Because I know one of the best things you can do is some kind of approximation, based on maybe previous year sales or things like that. But is there any specific system on top of that that you could give us an example that you will provide to a seller so they can give a rough estimation how much stock to send for a Prime Day, for example?
So those are like basically there's like software like SoStock, there's
Okay.
SKUPreme, there's a couple softwares out there that basically help you with um, with like planning how much to
Mm-hmm.
send in, how much to hold in Amazon, how much to bring in.
Good.
SoStock is a pretty good tool. SKUPreme actually is integrated via API with our software that we have.
Nice. Okay.
So that helps out a lot for we have a couple they're a new company that we have a couple of
Mm-hmm.
sellers that use them right now.
Yeah.
It's like Supreme, but it's SKUPreme, like SKU. So
Yeah.
that's the name of it. They're I know they're integrated and they could plan your stages from even ordering from China, like from
Wow.
and SoStack is
Okay.
the same way as well. They could help you with how much should I order from China, like do I replenish every 2 months out of China? Do
Mm-hmm.
I replenish twice a year? The goal is always to have at least 30 days of inventory in Amazon
Yes.
and then up to 90 days, I would say.
Okay.
Um, but what we did a calculation last month because April 1st, whereas Amazon implemented new inventory um, uh, increased like
Mm-hmm.
inventory costs. It's where once it hits 3 months plus, it really starts going up, and like 6 months it's
Mm-hmm.
even worse, and then a year it's terrible. Like sometimes people don't realize if you have, I did a calculation just on an average pallet
Yes. Mm-hmm.
size. If you have 4 or 5 pallets
Yeah.
that's there for 12 months plus,
Mm-hmm.
you're spending around $2,500 on just four or
Wow.
five a month, just on
Crazy.
these 4 or 5 pallets. So sometimes people
They
don't
kill
realize,
you
oh, I
basically.
just exactly, yeah. So sometimes sellers don't realize is like you have so many good profitable items, but that $2,000 is eating up
It's
$2,000 of your profit every month just
yeah.
because you
And
don't
because
realize that.
sometimes the dashboard
Right,
doesn't make it very clear,
right.
they're charging you and you don't see it.
Exactly. So it could be like 100, 200 units sitting around if they're bulky products and you're
Yeah.
getting killed by it. So I think you could also, no, I think you could create automatic removal orders from Amazon.
Okay.
You could set it as a specific date of 3 months plus or six
Mm-hmm.
months plus when you want to remove it from Amazon. I think from 6 months, it really gets aggressively expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Versus till now, it was not that expensive. Only once it hit a year, it got expensive. But now
Yes, I
they
remember.
really
Mm-hmm.
started aggressively increasing the rate by from after 3 months, and then 6 months plus, it really gets very expensive.
Mm. Okay.
So,
So you would say maximum right now with a new change, you would advise to
right,
have it up to 3 months and then remove an order if needed, right?
exactly, yeah. So for me and my customer base, I've seen that most sellers have a turn of at least 2 turns a year. That means they usually sit on 6 months worth of inventory in the
Mm-hmm.
US,
Okay.
and then yeah, they have about 1 to 3 months on Amazon.
Okay.
What I did the calculation was 1 month if you bring in a product from Amazon, I mean
Mm-hmm.
from China or anywhere in the world,
Yes.
and you plan to sell it within 30 days, it's a
Mm-hmm.
no-brainer sending it into Amazon because
Of
Amazon will be
course.
cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
If you hold it, if you believe you're going to sell it in 2 months, you break even. I mean, say like 3PL versus Amazon, it's going to be the same cost approximately. Once you hit 3 months, that's when a 3PL gets much cheaper. So if you're using the proper ways how to replenish, and it only takes you, let's say, a week to replenish from when you place an order with your 3PL till it's on Amazon, or it's 10 days, having 2 months on Amazon is more than enough time because you could always
Mm-hmm.
replenish on time. So that's basically what I would say is making
Yeah.
sure you order enough product or not over the limit product,
Yeah.
and never overstuff Amazon because overstuffing Amazon is affecting your IPI score. It's going to affect
Yes.
your
And the whole
um,
account.
the whole
Mm-hmm.
account. So it's tricky, but using such a
Yeah.
software that gives you your projections, how much to keep in Amazon, how much to replenish, how much to order from overseas, that's really important.
Yeah, I think nowadays, especially if you keep sourcing from China, 3PL are still a key part of your formula because, I mean, most products, and they're going to take 30, 45 days to produce and get shipped. And let's say, your products sell relatively fast in your specific niche. I mean, you need to have a 3PL, of course, because if not, you're going to enter into the situation that you just described. You either overpay because you have a ton of inventory on Amazon, and you kill all your profit, or you go out of stock and then the money is gonna take you to relaunch the product, do PPC again, and everything is gonna be worse. So I
Right,
think for sure, for most people, I see for my clients, having a triple is a key factor. If you still source from, as you say, places that it's gonna take you 30, 45 days plus to manufacture and source. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh, we had one of our customers. He had pre-COVID. He always had 3 months worth of inventory
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
between 1 month on Amazon, 2 months in the 3PL, and then
Mm-hmm.
when COVID hit, he got so slammed and he was out of stock for almost 6 months. So now he brings in
Wow.
6 months at a time. So you always
Okay.
make sure that he has 6 months worth of inventory between Amazon and the 3PL. You have combined 6 months of inventory. Again, it's a
Yeah.
little bit more expensive on the cost because
Yeah. Of course.
obviously holding the 3PL, it's not the cheapest option, but it's still way cheaper than holding an Amazon. But at least you know that if you run out of stock, you completely kill your business. At least you could factor in your cost and make sure that you build in a 6 month of inventory. I'm sitting, um, or an Amazon. I mean, part in Amazon, part in the 3PL. That would probably be the most ideal way
Mm-hmm.
how to run your business.
Awesome. Now let's talk a little bit so we can start also concluding to the episode around tactical logistic solutions, because I think, of course, everything that we just mentioned, I think having a triple L on this scenario, which I bet for most people listening to this episode, if they have already a business size on the 6, 7 figure plus, they're gonna need a triple L. So maybe they want to learn about you, how you can help them, how this full A to Z solution works, and some of the perks maybe they can get. Yeah.
Definitely. So basically, I would give you just a quick, like I explained when we started, is we do
Mm.
freight forwarding,
Yeah.
we do custom clearance, we do pickup from the port, and then we 3PL, and then drip feed into Amazon. That's all full service, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to use all of it. You're not
Yeah.
forced to use all of it. Whatever works for you could work.
Okay.
What we really focus on very strongly is timelines and communication. That's something that we part of our values is community. Just like Amazon is a community, part of our values of our company's community, because that's the customer base that we have, and this is how
Yeah.
we run our company. Is there. So that's the two parts where we really focus on mostly. We're mainly based out of California, like where
Mm-hmm.
I'm. And my background is the windows to the warehouse, but it's a small warehouse.
Mm.
Um, Probably our next project will be expanding here in New Jersey, but
Nice.
for now we have approximately 900,000 square feet in California
Wow.
between two buildings.
Good.
So over 500 brands, Amazon brands, private label
Okay.
mainly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically where we could really help them is on every aspect of that. The best
Mm-hmm.
way to contact me is probably you can find me on LinkedIn, or
Yes.
they can reach out to you for my email
Yes. I'm gonna
or
make
phone
sure to
number.
put your email and website on the description so people can reach out. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So that's basically all of the things. Then I'm just I would say one call away, email away. Um, and what we do offer is on for a first time customer that we give them a $500 off
Hmm.
for the
Wow.
first
Good.
shipment that they use us. So it could be applied
Okay.
to any of our services. So, or the freight forwarding, or the 3PL, or trucking. We give you a $500 discount or credit towards your first bill that you do with us.
Okay.
And that's basically the offer that we have today. And
Yeah. That's
looking
awesome,
forward,
friend.
helping sellers all the time. That's my
Yeah. I
passion. That's
mean,
what I love.
I love it. I think, to be honest, what your company does is so important because I mean I talk to sellers every single time, and Amazon is becoming each day more and more complex, especially now with e-commerce sellers in general. They're starting to divert also outside of Amazon because we
Right.
know people is now working with Walmart, Target, other marketplaces, etc. So I think having an option like yours that you can actually be safe that your inventory can be easily be transported across these other marketplaces, and at the same time receive the full spectrum of services, which I know when it comes to importing and all that can be a huge headache as well. I think it's a big plus, and for sure I think all the listeners are going to find that very helpful, and I'm going to make sure to put all this everything in the description so people can find it and take advantage of your offer as well, which is very generous. So Ephraim, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Same
I'm
here.
pretty sure I'm gonna see you soon at some events. And we're gonna put some pictures as always in LinkedIn, so people can see that we're having nice fun there. But it's been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you,
Same
and
here.
see you in the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely looking forward.